it kind of like runs long and then it starts. So, hey, everybody, welcome. Zach Martin here. Kids Deserve Dads. The Non-Custodials live today with Alicia and our good friend Josh Jaros from Tejas. Say hi, everybody.
Tejas. Hello.
I don't know.
Oh, Lord.
It's been one of those days. So, Josh, how are you today?
Good. Doing real good.
Sorry, that was a horrible introduction.
Mark Ludwig said yesterday that you are top 10.
Well,
I don't know if you heard that. You are a top 10 shared parenting advocate in the United States. So
that was a bit of embellishment, but I like Mark. Mark's a good guy there. He's done so much for our movement, and really, honestly, he's kind of my little bit of my mentor, especially getting involved politically and trying to move some of these equal parenting bills in Texas and move things forward. And just that guy's a wealth of knowledge. Like, I can't say enough good things about Mark. He's probably embarrassed right now, but
so embarrassed right now.
We would not be near where we are in Texas, and we've got a long ways to go. I mean, I know other states have passed bills and stuff, but without Mark's influence and without his direction and just the tips that he has, he's done a lot for us down here.
Yeah, we're blessed to have a guy like him and guys like you. I mean, just so many people that are just so committed to doing this work. Even after you have a really good experience with your kid's mom and stuff, and you guys have your kids at a great relationship that you've negotiated yourselves. And you still continue to keep working and fighting to help more families and more kids not have the same stuff. So I think that's one of the best things about this movement is the commitment level and guys like you who have that kind of commitment. So thank you. And Mark, we love.
Yeah.
So, well, tell us about it. So let's just start with what you guys got done in Texas last year. You guys got some stuff done in Texas last year.
Yeah, there was a couple bills there. There was one bill there that Robert Garza actually had done, and that is a bill. He called it the time taken back bill, and that's if there's false allegations. Say if someone does, he calls it I think holiday hostage or something. Especially,
wow.
a lot of custodial parents will throw this thing at and try to steal the parents' time during the kids' time during the holidays, and so they'll make a false accusation, file something in family court, and here most likely dad's going to pick up his kids and finds out no, there's an emergency order, you can't pick up your kids, and so this bill that Robert worked on, and you did a fantastic job of it. And real thank you out to Senator Angela Paxton that really spearheaded that and got it moving. And then David Cook picked it up in the House of Representatives. They worked on that bill and they got it passed through. And so if there's a situation like that and you lose time, you'll get like time made back up the next time after it makes its way through the court and they find out, hey, this was just a tactic used. Because now until this point, parents would do that and, dad would never get his time back with the kids. He missed it. And then, of course, next Christmas, again, is going to be mom's Christmas time probably. So you're missing out on memories. And this is a way, it's not perfect, but it helps the kids be able to make up those memories with dad. So that was.
Is that only in situations like you just said with the, a protective order or something like that? Or is that any time?
There was
only for holidays or?
There was at first the bill was a little more broad, and it would have taken care of everything. And I know I was disappointed that it got narrowed down a little bit. That's sometimes what happens. I don't want to go into too many details there, but so it is just for false allegations that are entered through like CPS and whatnot.
Right.
Okay.
I would have loved it. I mean, it would have been great if it covered everybody. Still, I mean, I don't want to take away from anybody's thunder on this because it was a great bill, and I think it's a huge step forward, and just brought a lot of awareness to, and it was a no-brainer. This bill here, literally, and this is the genius about it. It should really, when parents start seeing this bill go into effect, it should discourage people from making false claims about it. Yep. And it's the carrot and stick approach, and it's a great approach. It doesn't cost anybody any money. to do this. It doesn't cost the taxpayers any money. And hopefully it'll stop a lot of excessive litigation. I mean, I don't know if you guys know Robert Garza's story there. He had so many times that the mom would take him back to court and have false allegations, and it was just a nightmare for him. And I'm not the only person. There's been other people as well that have had something like that happen.
Yeah, it just happens so often, right? I mean, it's like they know that it works, and you don't have any money, and what are you going to do about it? You're going to keep going back to court if you want to see your kids, and
Yes.
you just keep having to keep going and spending all your money and spending all your time. And it's a tactic that is used all over the place. I mean, I think lawyers know about it, talk about it in school. You know, they say it doesn't happen very often, but I think it happens way more often than it should. And if it happens at all, it's more often than it should.
Yes, there was another bill filed and that passed into law here too, and it allows any political subdivisions in Texas. Our state's a little bit different than some of the other places. So we have counties, and then we have cities. We actually have county judges, which you would think automatically like a judge, but it's more like maybe a commissioner in other states. So a city mayor and the city council, or our county judges and the city commissioners, can pass an ordinance now that if there's interference with child custody, there'll be fines. And I think they start out at $500 per occurrence, and it goes up from there. Now, I don't know the problem with it is, and people are going to have to do this. And as far as I know, nobody's done it yet. You're going to have to go to your city council or your county commissioners and get them to pass this ordinance. And it may be difficult in some places. It may not, but it's just not. It's a broad law that affects our whole state, but you have to go individually to every county, to every city, and get it passed in those political subdivisions. So I don't know any parents done that yet. I mean, people did the legwork to get the bill passed. Now we need to go to the next step and go to our cities and to our counties and get it done.
Yeah, it's kind of a funky way to go about doing it. Might just make a state statute and level across the board. But
hey, sometimes starting at the lower level, it's easier. Sometimes
parents tried to pass a bill, and here's the problem. And the problem is that right now on the books we have what's called 25.03. There's a bunch of groups in Texas. A lot of people have liked that particular law. The problem is it's not favorable with the legislators, and the reason for it is people don't want to put a mom in jail, and which is kind of ironic, probably with our conversation later tonight, right? But it's really not a good take on it myself either. I don't think it's the ultimate solution. Now, maybe in extreme cases, yes, but for the most part, a carrot and stick approach, something less severe, because you don't want to put mom in jail and then the kids aren't seeing her too. So trying to keep it kid-centered. I think there's other ways. Hitting a parent in the pocketbook is definitely, in my opinion, the best way. But we've had bills up there in Texas and Austin that have had to do with this 25.03. It's just hard to get legislators on board with it. And looking at what Robert Garza did, there's an excellent there to it. And I think this ordinance one too is not a bad approach either.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's nice to have it where you can get it passed, and if you can get something done, then you can actually, at least in those counties, show that it's effective. And then once that's happening, then get more people on board. It's definitely an important step, and that's why all the state stuff. We got to get all these states to change the laws to make sure parenting the standard and show the differences, and we're gonna get stuff nationally done that has to come afterwards. So that's the American way, right?
Yeah.
So. Well, yeah, I think kind of a good transition point in time. How did you get yourself into the shared parenting movement?
Well, I'll just briefly run through it real quick.
Yeah.
Long, right?
Yeah.
So went through a divorce. Had no idea, wasn't planning on it. Tried to save a marriage, and I hear this from a lot of people. You get dragged kicking and screaming. So I went through the divorce, and I came out with minimal time with my kids. In fact, I started out with standard possession. And then when my youngest son, Elijah, turned 4, then we went to, but really just baffled at how I could be so cut out of my kids' lives like that. And just, I don't know, the system was very abusive. It cost me a lot just to get that. And I wanted more time. And I could see just from my observation, it didn't make any, the whole system doesn't make any sense. Like, there's two of you. Why are we burdening? And their mom was doing a lot of the legwork and stuff. And it just didn't make any sense. And so I connected with some parents in Austin. I don't know how I ran into them. Some of them are still good friends to this day and stuff. And we talk fairly frequently. In fact, I sometimes go on camping trips with some of these dads here from around the state. They don't live near me, but we meet up at different places. And went to Austin, found out a little bit about equal parenting, did a little research, and the whole thing seems like a no-brainer. And I'm like, why do we have the current system right now? Why hasn't it been changed? And then you just, I mean, it's like a rabbit hole, right? You start going down the rabbit hole, and then you find out that the divorce attorneys are against this because it's going to affect their cash flow. And you find out there's feminists behind it that don't want to see things changed. And so I started doing a little bit at a time and getting more involved, going to the Capitol, finding out who my state legislators and my state senators were. And I started going to political events. And we had one small bill that I helped get passed down here. It was a lunch bill. This is before I had equal time with my kids. And then it's just led to one thing, led to another. And after you've been through the system, and this goes back to when we first started this interview, a lot of dads I find out get equal parenting time, and then I never hear from them again. They're gone. Mm-hmm. And they were, I saw them at the Capitol, they're advocating, they were doing all this work, and all of a sudden they're gone. And I understand that this system really grinds you down, but after seeing all the things that I've seen, I couldn't walk away from not see things change. And I really want to see things change here in Texas. We've got some bills passed. We're eventually going to see equal parenting passed here in Texas. But when you've seen all these, when you've seen how it affects your children, you can't walk away, Yep. Like the Marine, leave no person behind, right? And
it's one of those things. Like I was talking to a guy this morning about it, and he's wanting to get involved, right? He's new, going through the experience and stuff. And I was like, be consistent, keep showing up. I go, kids are dads. You talk to all the different groups around the country, AFESP, anybody that's been doing this for a long time. Excuse me. Did they see that guys come and go? As soon as you get shared parenting or even get a decision, they are gone. Like that person is no longer associated. And so if you're going through this stuff, and you're really passionate, stay in it. That these people need the help, and you got that stuff with your kids, whatever it turned out to be. But there's other people that are going to go through this exact same problem and have these exact same feelings and pain, and we want to stop this from happening. And that's the real goal. Is I don't want my son to have this experience. Josh, your kids are a little bit older than my son, not much, but Alicia's got the whole gamut. So, how soon can we get this stuff done? So, I think your oldest son's close enough, right? Like, he could be having kids.
And me? Who?
Yeah, you.
Who are you talking to?
Alicia.
My oldest son does have a kid. Yeah.
I did not know that.
I told you that.
I think you told me that.
I'm Grandma Alicia. So.
Grandma Alicia, what's up, Grandma? Those kind of things can happen, and the goal is really to keep fighting against that and working to stop it. So thanks, Josh, for doing all that you continue to keep doing. I know you got your boys there tonight. Tell us about your parenting arrangement that you have right now. I think it's interesting and unique.
Yeah, so I wrote our order kind of tailored to how basically put what I thought was fair and what we discussed and wrote it out. And we put down 1 week on, 1 week off. We've never actually ever followed that. So we pretty much, their mom has a schedule, or she has to work at the hospital. And so her schedule kind of changes during the weeks and stuff. So at the beginning of the week, we'll kind of text each other and find out what her schedule is. And then I'll pick up whatever days she can't take care of the kids, or she's got to be at work. And of course, if there's an event or something, like if the kids and I want to take a camping trip or something, I'll kind of let her know ahead of time. and she'll send me a little message, like if she's got to be, maybe there's a family get together or something, she's going to be out of town. She'll let me know that too, and we'll work around it. So it's pretty easy. I think for both of us, we both enjoy. I can say I honestly enjoy having her helping out, and working through this, through the times with the kids. Before it was so lopsided, and now every listen, when you're there by yourself, every parent needs a break. I'll put it out there. If you're with your kids straight for so long, and look, this is why single mothers are like bananas half the time. They're taking care of kids all the time. It's great having someone else. I mean, that's the way it was meant to be. It was meant to be two people. And
So Josh,
yeah.
Sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but I was just going to ask if there was a catalyst to you guys changing everything. I was just curious about that.
Question. I just got out of so we'll rewind it like 6 months or so before we made our agreement, and the timeline's a little blurred for me, so I might not be 100% accurate, but I actually went to jail for non-payment of child support. Before this, I was in jail for 6 months, and there's probably some stuff I don't know even that went on with that whole situation. I had zero money left. My last payment on rent, I think I had $800 in the bank. I had to make enough to pay off that month's rent, and the Attorney General's office took everything out of my bank account, and my parents were able to help make that rent payment, but I had nothing left at that particular point. And so I ended up in jail, zero money. I had friends and family that kind of helped me out a little bit from time to time, but it just got to a point where there was nothing left at the end of every month. And so I went to jail. They threw me in without an attorney. I asked for an attorney, which again is one of our fundamental liberties. We're supposed to have an attorney. Never gave me a before we even had the trial, and I represented myself. They had two people in there ready to arrest me. I mean, they already decided what they were going to do with me before I went into the courtroom. I was actually asked by some of the aides in the legislators' offices if they thought this had anything to do with my advocating for equal parenting. And look, there's been several fathers in the state of Texas who have been working on equal parenting that it's hard for me not to, I can't definitively say, but when you have so many things happen to those fathers, we start to wonder, is there somebody else? And I was specifically asked if the lobbyist had anything to do with me going into jail. Again, I don't have any definitive proofs, but when there's so many circumstances that have happened to so many fathers across Texas, this might have been a little bit political.
Yeah, that lady knows a bunch of people, and she's not very well liked. She's not very nice. So,
so I got out of jail, and I think it was like the week after. I know this is gonna sound crazy. Week after, I think it was at their mom's house, and I think I was fixing some trim at her house, and I think she had a water slide. She invited me over, so that kind of goes to show the kind of person that I am. That even after all this, and I think at that point, somewhere in there, their mom had to have been thinking. I know for those 6 months, it had to have been really difficult to watch my kids. I have two really energetic boys, and I kind of credit their energy to bringing her to that point, probably, of where she said, "Hey, let's just do 50."
Right. But he was in jail, and don't follow Josh's strategy of getting 50-50. I don't recommend that to anybody. Disclaimer.
No.
But
look, whatever you can do to stay out of jail, you definitely want to do that. It came to the end where I didn't have anything else to keep myself going. And you know what? Maybe I could hold something together for another month or two, but in the end, it was inevitable. This judge that did throw me in, she actually resigned from her job. She had some other issues with some other cases that she had too, but there was no reason to throw me in jail. I didn't have the money. My bank account was empty. And they're not supposed to do that to you. Unfortunately, Texas is one of the most difficult states. I mean, my county is actually one of the most difficult counties. And I don't know where they are on that right now in my county, but I think that probably things started to get have changed a little bit, but I'm not 100% sure about that. I still hear that there are fathers that are going through difficult times too. So
Yeah. Well, it's a difficult time right now, and they have that option. It's so random, right? I mean, they ask you that question about the legislators. They ask you that question about, is this political? Are you getting thrown in jail? And they throw all kinds of people in jail, and they don't hold people accountable for some things. They hold people accountable for other things. It's judicial discretion, and there's not always a rhyme or reason to it, which gives them a lot of that gray area, right? We're like, well, maybe I could have just been a victim of circumstance that this judge was pissed off today, or she wanted to get you, Josh.
yeah, well, and that's the nature of family court. It's very arbitrary. There are no hard or fast rules that are written. Well, one of my friends, Stuart McMullen, always compares family court to a bowling alley. And our idea of equal parenting is we want to put gutter guards up so that when judges are bowling, you don't get any gutters. And that's really the problem with family court. It's just too arbitrary. A judge has unlimited authority to be able to decide whatever they want, and there's no accountability. Just it's so difficult, and that's not the way our Constitution was written. And unfortunately, yeah, I mean, ugh.
Yeah.
They say 50 it's cookie cutter.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What are you doing right now? That's like the
every other weekend.
Guys, like, hello.
No, it's again, I like the analogy of putting up gutter guards.
Yeah.
It protects our parental rights. It protects our children's rights. I mean, there are fundamental liberties involved with a relationship with a child and a parent. I mean, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom to gather. There's so much that goes along with that. These are huge things. We haven't really had any cases here too. I mean, we know the ones in the Supreme Court, right, in Granville, the ruling there that had to do with grandparents and whatnot, and we hear all these, but we haven't had anybody in Texas that I have seen that has brought a case. We're hoping for that. I've actually had a talk with a father about a month ago about possibly pursuing a case on that. It might help us get 50-50 in Texas a little quicker if they did challenge the law a little bit more. So,
well, it's hard. You got to get lawyers willing to do it. You got to have someone who has money to afford to do something like that, and you got to have a case that even fits into an area where you have the opportunity to do that. And so, I mean, it's like a needle in a haystack. People talk about that like it's such an easy thing to do. We'll just go and appeal it and get it overturned, and you're like, oh,
appeal.
If it was that easy, yeah. You got to have a reason to appeal, and everything has to fall into place, and you got to have somebody who can afford it, or a lawyer who's willing to take it on for free. And there's a lot of variables that really come into play, and you don't get to do it for forever. You can't wait 15 years to make money again and then go do it.
Yes, for sure.
So yeah, it's a wild thing. I really hope that person is able to do that, and they push that through. So good luck with working with that guy to make that happen. I'd like to hear, when you had to go to jail, you didn't think you were going to go to jail until you walked into that room, right?
I mean, I was prepared for anything, but I mean, I had hoped that I would not have gone to jail. I mean, I really don't know. I mean, anything's possible.
Yeah. How did it feel when you were gone for that amount of time from your kids and stuff? You've been with your boys the whole time. How was that?
It was really difficult. Fortunately, I was able to call and talk to the kids. She let me kids and talk to them, and it was tough, but I called and talked to them. It was difficult. I mean, you make the best of it, the best way that you can. I'm a positive person. So while I was there, I was just thinking about time, of getting out and whatnot. The hardest time I can say though was during Halloween. We had there was visitor times. I think were on Friday and Saturday. And that Halloween kids came in, and I was over visiting with somebody, and I saw people with kids in there wearing Halloween costumes, and that kind of wrecked me that night.
Yeah.
Of course, missing Christmas and everything else, was difficult. Yeah, it was tough.
Yeah, that sounds.
I just, from anybody's point of view, and I'm not trying to trash anybody at all, but I cannot imagine being that person in that position that has to tell their kids, yeah, dad's in jail because he didn't pay me money. Like, kids know what jail is. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And you're telling the story, and so I'm thinking about the conversation, and I'm thinking about the consequences as a parent. I cannot imagine being in that position, and you cannot justify that. You can't explain that to a child.
No, you can't.
In those situations, they know. They have to know something. You know what I mean? Kids here, they understand way more than we know. And it's just sad. It's absolutely sad.
I think that's the catalyst for why I do have 50-50 right now. I think it ate her up seeing the kids like that. I mean, I haven't had a conversation with her about it, to say, hey, what led you to do a 50-50? I mean, I can kind of see from my side, and I think that was a really difficult time. I mean, the kids were torn up about it. I mean, and they've told me that they went to bed crying that they missed me. I mean, if you were in that house and you were hearing that, how would you react? I mean,
Right.
yeah, so definitely something horrible to me, going to jail, but in the end it led to 50. Would I do it again? I wouldn't want to go to jail to get 50-50, but I don't know, maybe I would.
Exactly.
I will say
Talk
this
to your
now,
fire.
the level of stress that melts away. I mean, I know what it's like to live under the parenting laws that we have and have to go through the custody schedules, to go to pickups and stuff and have that uncomfortable feeling where you're there and there's a tense moment, and then to make sure you get back in time because you don't want to have the other person say, oh, you're 5 minutes late or whatnot. And just all the tension that's involved in these custody exchanges. It's horrible. It's awful. And then you're paying child support and keeping up with that too. Man, I'm living the dream right now. And I know there's a lot of, no, seriously, there's people that arm and a leg to have what I got right now. And I'm thankful that my ex came to that decision. I saw some other fathers around me get equal parenting, and I thought, oh, it's never going to happen to me. And then I went to jail. I came out and I forgave her for all that. And we moved on and stuff. And now the kids are doing so much better under that. They're so much happier with the equal custody schedule. And I'm not saying, look, it's not roses all the time. My ex and I still probably, there's probably things that we get, I know there is, we get irritated at each other from time to time. And there's different issues that we still have to deal with and stuff, with relationships. But this is so much better. It's so much better. I would never want to go back to the old system again of people just, and I talk to fathers and I can identify now that I've been through it. I'm like, yeah, I remember that. I remember those situations. But yeah, so much better.
It's amazing. Yeah, dude, having shared time. I don't have shared time exactly, but I get to see my son every day. She drops him off to me in the morning to take him to school, and then I take him to school and I have an hour or so with him in the morning time, hour and a half. So we get to get ready and do all that kind of fun stuff. And I gotta give him a pep talk every day. We jam out to some good tunes. Centuries was on my top list from Apple Music. It said I listened to that like 800 minutes of Centuries this year. So, but that I get him after school every day, 2:30 to 5 o'clock every day. I get to pick him up, and we get to spend this time. And it's so important to have that consistent time. I mean, I put a post yesterday about how kids get that adrenaline rush from their dads. That dads play with kids differently than moms do, and that having an opportunity to have that rough and tumble and that aggressive energy expenditure play, and then cuddle up on the couch and get some hugs and stuff. Like, both those things are so valuable and so important, and kids need them. And I can see a big difference. Unfortunately, it's when I go to school and stuff. We were playing football today after school. He wants to get out there, and we play football. And so we're out there, 35 degrees outside today, tossing my 6-year-old footballs, running pass patterns, and there's a bunch of kids that come over and want to come on and play with us and stuff. And he's he wants to play at the school because he wants his kids to watch him, but he also doesn't want them to take over any time. But there's a lot of kids that don't have dads, and they are like drawn to come, like, oh my god, I want to play with this guy too, and
Yeah.
um, and you can see the difference in kids that have dads and kids that don't have dads, or that don't have both their parents. I think the same thing with moms. Probably you can see a difference in a kid that didn't have a mom, but you can tell a huge difference in kids that don't have dads.
So
So
when I was in jail locked up, I tried to do a little research of my own, because I'm in this situation and I like to try to put a positive spin on it. If you
yeah,
got to make lemonade. So I spoke to people to find out a little bit why they were in jail and stuff. There was 30 people in my tank when it was completely full, I believe it was. And anyways, the people that I got to talk to, out of the first 30 people I talked to, 27 of them grew up without a father. 27, 30. And I didn't keep track after that. That was a big thing for me. And a lot of the drug use that we see too, fatherless homes. And there's a reason for that. Like you said, kids interact differently with fathers. You get that sense of approval and of worth from your father. And if you're getting that, you don't feel like you're good enough. You're going to try to do something to try to find that missing hole in your life. This is really interesting. And this kind of gives it, this is a little story. Like shortly after we had equal parenting, the kids and I were driving down the road. I can remember where we were. We were driving Chick-fil-A out in towards Montgomery, Texas. And for some reason, the kids brought up me going to jail and stuff. We were talking about how we like 50-50. And I told the kids, I said, well, you guys realized even early on, you knew that I loved you and wanted to spend time with you. And my oldest son was like, yeah, Dad, I knew you loved me. I knew you wanted to spend more time with me. But my youngest son, Elijah, said, well, Dad, I wasn't 100% sure. I wasn't really sure if you really loved us because you didn't spend very much time with us. Listening to him articulate that, kids, and I always say this with equal parenting, kids spell love Time. That is so important. And if my son is interpreting a lack of time as dad doesn't love him, just think of all the kids around the United States right now that are going to go home to a house without a dad. They're going to wonder if their dad loves them or not. And that's why I'm still working on this to try to get equal parenting done in Texas here, because for any child to think that in his mind, think that's why these kids are on drugs. That's why these kids are doing poorly in school. That's why these kids are getting, these young girls are getting pregnant, because they don't know that their dad loves them. And I'll tell you that thing, whatever I think about that, that's why I'm still in this fight here. We got to make this change for kids. It's so important that kids go home at nighttime, whether it's mom's or dad's house, and realize my dad loves me, my mom loves me. That's what equal parenting is all about.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, 100%, man. Love the passion too. Like you can just see it in your face and feel it. I feel it in my heart, even though I'm sick right now. You got to change it, right? There's so many kids out there. It is for the kids and their kids, because this is our legacy and what we have.
Yeah.
And what we're doing a disservice. We're hurting our kids for all the wrong reasons, when there's a way to make it better.
Here's another observation that I've noticed, going from unequal parenting time to equal parenting time. The kids always wanted to come over to my house all the time. They're like, yeah, we miss dad. We did fun stuff. We did a lot of camping. We did all sorts of stuff together. But one thing that I noticed, and you don't notice these things until you've been on both sides of the fence. And they would never say, oh man, we can't wait to go back to mom's. We miss mom. I don't know that I heard my kids say, I miss my mom, until we went to equal parenting time. And what that tells me is, kids, it's like a tank. You have kids have like a mom tank and a dad tank. And with parenting time, one of those tanks is going to be empty. But when you go to equal parenting time, you start seeing these little nuances where all of a sudden kids are like, yeah, I miss mom. I spent all week with dad, or I spent 3 or 4 days. I'd like to see mom. I never saw that on the other side. So all these things, kind of unique observations that I've been having.
I think everybody has those observations too. If you are blessed enough to get the experience of going from one to the other. I completely agree with you, and I think it's amazing. It's a beautiful observation, and it's just true. It's just true.
Yeah.
Just like the jail stats match real life stats. I mean, it's just the truth. And thank you for bringing all that up.
It's a good listen. This is a good issue for people to get involved with. You know, I obviously advocate on other political issues. I'm a Republican. We go to the state convention. There's several fathers. We've all gotten really involved with it. This is an issue here, though, that I can put my heart and soul into it. And we are in the right side of this. Like, there's a lot of issues where people are there's a little bit, there may be some gray edges around it, right? This is a clear-cut issue right here. We're talking about civil liberties. We're talking about First Amendment issues. We're talking about what's best for kids. There are very few issues that you can jump on board and say, man, I want to see this through. And you know what? We might not see all of the reward from this, but being on the right side and advocating for this issue here is there's a lot of purpose behind it. And so, man, I hope we get more dads across our country advocating, jumping in, going to their state legislators, talking about it. If I was going to say, if there's one thing out of this whole interview tonight, I would want parents to find out who their state legislators are. I can't tell you the number of parents that I talk to that are having issues with custody and whatnot, don't know their state legislators. We need to get involved. That's how we make change happen. Get involved. Man, I will say this. The last time I was in Austin, this last session, and we talked to a bunch of legislators that had signed on to our equal parenting bill, the number of times that I heard legislators, when I asked them, I said, well, why did you sign on? Is this an issue in their district? They told me, we've been receiving phone calls from around our district. We've heard from a lot of parents. This session was the first session I've heard that. I've never heard that. A lot of people unfamiliar with the issue. So for parents, keep calling, keep writing emails, and calling your legislators. It does make a difference when you go to these offices. We have legislators signing on these bills because people are calling in. It might seem like a small thing, right? Hey, I made a phone call. It took me 2 minutes to talk to a staffer. Do it. It is making a difference in the state of Texas, and we are eventually going to get there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that
great information.
We've been working on stuff in Wyoming, and that is so impactful. We've been putting a group together in Wyoming, Alicia and I have, and we're trying to get together people from across the whole entire state. Texas is big and a lot of people. Yeah. We just got a lot of space. So keeping all them, and you've been in Wyoming, so getting out by Wham Center in that area. It's hard to go and see other people in different parts, and so you need to have Wham Sutter. I'm not from Wyoming originally.
Maybe
so
it's not Wham Sutter. I call it Wham.
Wham Sutter.
Yeah, it's not Wham Sutter. It's Wham Sutter.
There's like 0 people from that town anyway, so who knows? Podunk town. But getting everybody organized in all those different areas and stuff, and getting them to call their legislators, because you can't, Alicia being in Casper can't go and talk to everybody around the whole entire state, but getting people from Rock Springs, from Evanston, who are going through the experience, who have a story to tell, and are committed to saying that story and communicating it is so important, and just going there and talking to that person gives them one more person they can put their eyes on and see and feel that energy. Like when you were talking about that, with that passion about saving kids, that when you go there and you're talking about your kids and you're hurting, that gives that legislator one more person to say, wow, like this is a real thing. Like that person has real pain, and we could make this change and it wouldn't cause that person pain, who's my constituent, and going there and talking to them gives a huge benefit. Whether you go to the Capitol and do the legwork, and do the cool pictures and publishings and stuff, or really working with the legislators on a day-to-day basis during session, you can make a difference by being present and showing up. And the more you can show up, the better.
Even if it's just a phone call.
No, listen,
Yeah.
a lot of this, it takes everybody. Like there is in every state, I think there's like a small group of people that go to the Capitol. It may be anywhere from 5 to 20 people. In every state, we've got these groups, right? That
Yeah.
been, people have done things. But it also, when we go there, having people call in and stuff makes a huge difference. Like, and I know that not every person can go and go to the Capitol. Not every person has the ability to go to political meetings during the week in their counties and whatnot. Anything you can do is great. I mean, we not be able to do that. So we have the small groups of people that are going to the Capitol and maybe pulling some of the strings, but we need the greater surrounding community. We have we've got like thousands of fathers across our country. If everybody does a little bit, it will create a lot. And I was reminded that when I heard all these legislators say, "Oh yeah, we have somebody in our district. We have some people in our district this is an issue with them." That opens up the door. That does more than we can. We don't know all these legislators. We're not in all of their districts. So when we show up, we're just like a lobbyist showing up. But if they have constituents, those are the people that they listen to.
Right. Yeah, we are like lobbyists when we show up. I mean, we basically do the exact same thing lobbyists do. We're just not getting paid for it. Yeah, and they have
Maybe
a big, they have a big force. Like, the lawyers and stuff, the trial lawyers, the family law groups and stuff that are in Texas. They got tons of money, guarantee it, and they're throwing it around. And the only thing we have is the numbers. We have the people. We have the dads. We have the kids who are going through these experiences. The moms who are having this done to them, and their families being drugged through this system without any control. And that's the opportunity you have to go make a difference. And going there, the more you can go there, the more people that can go there and talk to them, the more they see it. They see 5 people walk into their office, and then Josh comes up and talks about the story. He's like, "Wow, I just had a conversation with somebody last week, or a month ago, and I've heard about this over and over again." And it's not just Josh and the 5 other guys that show up there, or 20 people that go there, but it's their people, their constituents. And that's such a huge point to be active and impactful in your community and stay involved, because this is an involvement issue. And lack of involvement was got us here. And what we need to do is get more involved so we can get us out of this spot.
And on top of that, just like Josh was saying, I mean, there's so many people that they finally win the war. Something happens. There's, like I said, there's always a catalyst. It's not like, in my opinion, parents that prefer the standard visitation schedule, there's something that happens that gets them to change their mind. And it's something serious. Maybe, just like somebody was saying in the comments, it's guilt. Maybe it's something else happens that, the tables could turn, that kind of thing. But there's the people that supposedly, the majority of people that work their differences out prior and don't ever go to court and work out an order all by themselves. And it's all 50-50 and, rainbows and butterflies from the beginning. But then there's, like I said, the individuals that prefer that standard visitation schedule for whatever it is. And there's always a catalyst in changing that. Mm-hmm. They don't just decide one day, oh, this isn't working out great for the kids. It's affecting my kids. I don't like what it's doing to my children. I don't think usually it's ever that generally, but there's a catalyst all the time.
Yeah.
Something happens, get them to change their mind. Right?
Yeah. I think time helps people, right? Time makes a big difference. Having more of that time.
Sometimes it's time.
Sometimes it's time. Sometimes it's, how you show up, when you're going through the custody battle and stuff, well, then it's a fight, right? And you're already not getting along, and they don't like that. You don't like that person. That person doesn't like you. And then you're fighting to get to see your kids. And so there's just, and the system's designed to keep that fight going, keep that intensity. Mm-hmm. And so you're just in this high intense, win at all costs, drag out fight. And when you're in that fight, then you're not thinking clearly about everybody else, because you're like, I'm going to win this thing because I got to, screw that person. I'm not gonna let them, you know, tell me what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be the person who makes all the decisions, and they're gonna feel my wrath because of whatever happened,
Well,
or I want to win. And
right, but
the judge is playing that.
Zach, if that was the case, after the fight was over and they already won, things would they'd maybe change, but typically they don't.
Yeah. I think that I'll just keep with that stuff. What do you think, Josh?
I don't know. Could have been off in a little tangent.
Everybody's different, right? Everybody's different and random. I think I think it's a whole bunch of different things.
To get like parents to come to 50-50. Well, yeah, there usually is a catalyst, but I think, and so I tried to be nice and stuff, and
me too.
I felt like some of the people that I know kind of tried to de-escalate the situation, and that's really hard to do. To try to come to a point, and I tried to be nice. And there's always, I mean, I wasn't perfect in it. I mean, there's a couple things I did that probably I know upset her really badly. I probably laughed about it. I thought it was funny, right? But
Probably.
Yeah, I think there usually is a catalyst. You know, one of the things that I'm perplexed a little bit by is with the unequal custody schedules. If you look at them, mom is doing a lot of work, and I know because look, I know a few people in the community. I know some of the different, and you see Facebook posts, right, and stuff. A lot of these single mothers that have their children almost all the time, they're burned out.
Yeah.
I don't know why you wouldn't want to jump on board and share that time and let dad do some of the work. And I know there's child support involved and stuff too. And I listen, I know a lot of fathers who wouldn't even care about the child support. They pay the child support. They just want to do 50-50. They just want the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know why moms went because they're burned out. You look, when the first day of school comes across, what are moms doing? Moms are out with their friends at the golf club getting mimosas. Y'all know it.
Celebrating.
You've seen these videos of moms laughing and waving to their kids to get on the bus, right?
Yeah.
They're burned out. And we know from studies that moms that have primary custody cannot be there physically, emotionally present with their children. And that's why these kids are acting out. But I think moms ought to jump on board with equal parenting. And I know a lot of them have, and even some progressive moms jumped on board with it, which is kind of cool. And I understand the thinking behind that. But why wouldn't you want to have somebody help? And like you said, you get involved in this custody dispute and all, you just want to win at all costs. You're not even thinking about it. And yeah.
Yeah, when you win, sometimes you're like, wow, did I want to win that? I am busting my butt. It's a lot of work. And, you know, the amount of effort that goes into it and stuff, you know, is it worth $700 a month to have a kid all the time and not have support? You know, would you give away that support for $700? It's like, man,
it's not. Think about it. And if you have to hire a babysitter, it's not worth it. And a lot of times when someone gets divorced and say they have a new boyfriend or new girlfriend, that for the most part, maybe in the initial phase, hey, they're trying to prove that they're a good mate. So they're going to prove that they're a good stepdad, a good stepmom. A lot of, and maybe the commitments aren't even there. Like some of these commitments aren't even real. Like they're just flings, right? They don't want to be. So if mom is paying for all this, for this babysitter or whatnot, or daycare, it's almost a wash.
Mm-hmm.
And of course you got the tax thing to offset it. I've done it in my head a little bit and tried to figure out, is it worth it? Is child support even worth it for a woman? To me, having that extra care, because the thing is, if you don't have to, if you're, say you did a week on, week off, or whatever, like the schedule I have with her mom, she's free to work during that time too. And that to me is more that it just doesn't make any sense. And I think women are believing this lie. They've been sold a lie that, hey, take as much as you can in the divorce, get custody of the kids, get the child support coming in, and life will be great. And that's not true. We see the moms. We see what happens when school starts, or when they go on summer visitation with dads. They're waiting. They're dying for a break. They need help.
Yeah, it's so nice. I get quite a bit of time with them and stuff, and I when I do have them, like in the summertime, we do 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, and I can tell you what, at the end of 2 weeks, I'm spent. Like I appreciate and enjoy my Zach time. I get to do whatever I want to do, 100% for myself. And if I want to sleep in, or I want to have a beer, or if I want to go for a hike, nobody's complaining about anything that I choose in those moments. And it gives me that energy then to like come back in 2 weeks when I have my son again and be the dopest dad I can be. Like, all right, son, like let's go. We're gonna fish. We're gonna hike. We're gonna do all these things. We're gonna have some campfires and stuff. And I think there's something to be said for that experience. I would much rather have an intact family if that was the opportunity, but that shared and having that opportunity to have my personal time and my dad time makes a huge difference, and I'm better because of it. So,
Yeah.
But if you just think about the way a healthy, intact family works anyway, the
right.
load is shared.
Yeah.
The majority of the time. If it's everybody's different, there's, certain variables, but, in a healthy, intact family, the load, it's shared, especially with the kids. Mom needs to go do whatever. Dad's going to go do whatever, and the load is shared. And that's why shared parenting outside of that's exactly why it makes sense and why it works so well and why it is so good for kids, because it's as close as you can get to that healthy, intact family, everybody living together.
It's funny too, like in an intact family, if dad doesn't help out, or say he's an involved father, they praise him. Yet when it comes to divorce, oh, we don't need dad anymore. Like all these things that that you have in a married family, they don't carry across to divorces, and they should. But we've all been trained. Our minds are all like mush because of years of this, like decades of this. We automatically think, oh, dad needs to go off and work and be away from the kids all the time, and he'll get them on weekends. That's good enough. This will be good for the kids. What can go wrong? And it's not true at all. It's not true at all. It's horrible.
Yeah. What do you have coming up this year with you and your boys? You got some fun things planned for you guys?
We usually do a lot of camping. Well, every year we go to Minnesota for a month too in July. We go up there and we spend a month with my parents. So that's kind of our big to do. But during the year, we just got back from Thanksgiving. We went and saw their cousins, went and did some things at some state parks and whatnot. And we're usually doing something about every weekend. We plan things. We do a lot of camping trips. That's about what we do. Kids love to go camp.
Oh yeah, you guys are always out, man. I love seeing all the photos. You guys campfires, out fishing. You're always out somewhere green with smiles.
That was my memories. Like for growing up, I absolutely love all the memories from camping, and I think that's why anything that was fun for me when I was a kid, that's what I try to do with my kids.
Nice.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I think the things that you enjoyed. I mean, kids enjoy that stuff, right? And you want to do more of it. And I think that's a great attitude to have, is kind of like giving them that opportunity of doing the things that they love to do, and bringing them into it. And you see the joy and the love in your guys' family all the time. It's wonderful to see. Blessed to have you. What else you got going on, Josh? You want to talk about what you guys have coming this year? Do you have any bills you guys are working on right now? Anything you want to plug?
There's going to obviously be another equal parenting bill in Texas. That's a done deal. I think we'll have it every session here until something passes. We've got a number of legislators that are supporting on this. We've got some people. There's going to be a huge turnover in Texas this year. Primary. We have had just a ton of things that have happened in Texas. Of course, our attorney general was close. Well, I don't think he was close to being impeached, but they tried to impeach him. The House voted, and so that's getting involved in elections. And then also the governor of Texas is trying to pass school choice, which is passed in almost every other state except for Texas. So there's a huge thing. I mean, it's anybody's guess who's even going to get elected in some of these primaries here. So we're waiting to see. There was already a special election that took place earlier. But so we're kind of waiting to see, but there will be I can guarantee there's going to be a bill this year in Texas for equal parenting. I think it may get further this year. There was a slight change last year, and I don't want to say everything that was discussed, but there did seem to be a small shift last year. And I know everyone says, well, if a bill doesn't get passed, what was the point? Well, we get further every single year on these issues. and not every, just because you don't get a bill passed doesn't mean that there weren't some successes. Look, we had more legislators sign on to our bill than have ever signed on before this year. The amount of legislators that are signing on to these bills has just really grown. So I think that's going to be the big one, right? I mean, I think smaller bills as well. You know, people are working on child support reform. So I know some of the people over at NPO, Anthony Brazel, he was working on this last year. He spoke with the Attorney General's office. Didn't get too much traction. They wanted to wait another session. Kind of wanted to stall it a little bit. So we'll see if that gets through this year. And I'm guessing there's probably going to be some more 25.03 bills. Kind of waiting to see. I don't really work on that. There's a bunch of other parents that have been working on that. So we'll see what happens with that. But it's going to be an interesting year. We'd like to see a bill come through. Man, we'd love a bill. The problem has always been the committees. But we're getting closer, I think, to getting something done. So
good. Love to hear it, man. I'm excited for what you guys have going on down there. Texas is always a hotbed, and there's so much happening down in Texas. So I appreciate you being willing to spend an hour with us today and hanging out. Thanks, Josh.
All right, good to see you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, awesome, man. Have a wonderful day, man. Merry Christmas, and give the boy some love. Look, we'll get together when he's in. I go to Texas every summer in July for a camp with my son.
You guys have to go camping.
San Antonio, yeah, we're gonna do some camping. So
it's hot.
Yeah, hot, dude. It's so hot down there. This is probably a time to be down there, not in July. So
beautiful now.
Yeah. We're just in the pool the whole time. AC and pool. So awesome, man. And have a great day, man. Merry Christmas, and see you soon.
Okay.
Thank you, Josh.
Bye.
Bye.